We're writing the count function families in the MDX query. Okay, so there are a list of different types of the count functions are available in the MDX query. So these are the seven count functions that we have in our SQL Server Analysis Service OLAP Cube. So you can find these functions in here. So when you expand here, so you can see those functions on your left side. I mean, there are many other functions that are available, but yeah, this session we're going to cover only the count function and its family. Okay, so we have totally 7 count functions. One is the dimensions count, other one is the count at set level, then count at tuple level, and then count total count of count function, where we can include the empty values or exclude the empty values. And then we have a top count, and then we have a bottom count, and also we have the distinct count. Right, let's go into the one by one. Okay, so the first one is the dimensions count. This is the one, the dimensions count. Basically the dimensions count is actually returns the count of hierarchies which are there in the cube. Again, so it only takes the list of the hierarchies where their attribute hierarchy is enabled as a true. What does it mean? If you go back to the our one of our cube solution, and under the customer dimension we have many attributes on the left, right? Some of the attributes you see, they grayed out. Okay, so that means they're actually hidden to the user. So that means the user is not using those attributes. So for those attributes we will have the uh, property called attribute hierarchy enabled. If it is a true, only the user can browse that attribute in the application. Other, if it is a false, then he cannot browse that attribute. So likewise, so whichever this property, whichever the dimension attribute property is enabled to the true, then those dimension attributes and the measures also it will fetch, and then it will give the count of total attributes and measures are available within the particular cube. So in our scenario we have a 203 dimension attributes, not only dimension attributes as I mentioned. So it includes the number of measures. So including the number of measures and dimensions, it's come around 20 it's come 203. In case if we like to check whether the count is matching, we can run this one of the analysis service data management view, where we can select only the cube. So presently I'm looking for the AdventureWorks cube, and then run the this query, and then here I put all those data into my Excel. So here then I pivoted, and then I calculated manually. So we have a totally 203 so dimension attributes and measures. Okay, so that's how the dimensions count works. Okay, moving on to the next function, which is the set count. So this count function we write on the uh, sets. So basically it returns the number of cells in the set. So in my scenario I have the category. Okay, so you can see here on the left side under the product, you have the category column. Under the category I have a totally 4 different categories. So when I fire this query, let's see how many count I will get it. So you can see here I got the 4 count. That means it's counting whatever the children values under this category. Similar way, we can do the same counting for the other sets also. In the second query, what I did, under the category, I have the pull the accessories. Okay, accessories my current member, and then I'm trying to count what are the siblings for that accessories. Okay, now if I execute this, so I get totally 4 because I have the accessories. Along with the accessories, other 3 are the siblings for the accessories. So that's where I get the 4 count. Now, so the other query, so I'm trying to fetch day of the month. Okay, so I picked up the first day of the month and then their siblings. That means I need to get the remaining dates for the month. Okay, so now if I execute here, so total I got 31. Let's see whether we have 31 or not for the selected one. Where is the date dimension here? And under that we have a date, day of month, and then so you can see here I selected this and their siblings are till 31, so I got 31 count. Okay, so this is how the count function works on the set. Okay, now moving on to tuple. So tuple is actually basically it returns the number of dimensions in a tuple. So usually we write the MDX query by adding the different dimension attributes and different dimensions in the query, right? So along with our measures, so trying to fetch the data. So usually we look at the numbers at each dimension attribute level, but this count function will can help how many records it's going to fetch for the selected MDX query. Let's say I have this query. Okay, so here I'm trying to fetch. So you can see here I'm trying to fetch the category and the country information, right? So now if you look at in the messages, total it fetched 25 rows. Okay, and instead of looking at here, if you want to see what is the count of records, you can execute this function, so where you get the 24 excluding the head, so which is correct. So here I wrote the count function and then I try to fetch the internet sales amount. Along with the internet sales amount, the product category and the geography. From the geography we are taking the country. Okay, so that's how we get the count of records at the tuple level. The same function we can write in different way. So instead of writing the count of your tuple values, you can write this way also, where you can put the dot count in the end, so the both will give the same results. Okay, here also you get the 24. The only difference is just this is different way of representing the function. Okay, so both are appropriate, you will get the records in the same count. Okay, now moving on to the other count function. So here also we use the set, but here we more play with the exclude or include the empty values within our count of records. Okay, so in my query, you can see here. So the first query, I'm trying to fetch the count of records at category and country level. So by excluding the empty values, I got 18. Right, so now the same similar query, when I executed the detailed query in the bottom using the non-empty, you can see we'll get the all non-empty records. And here also you can see excluding the header, it's 18 records, and you can see there are no null records in the bottom. Okay, that's how the count function works, where you can exclude and in case if you want to include the empty values, you can keep the include empty values. That property you can set here. Moving on to the next one. So top count is basically it fetch the top 10 records, whatever the representation that queue, it's like more like a top n. So the n is nothing but your integer value. You can control that n value with your how many records you want, whether you want top 10, top 20, top 25, you can choose that. And then also you can select the measure based on the which measure you want to sort the data from ascending to descending, and within that result set you can fetch the top 10 records. In my scenario, I'm trying to fetch the top 10 records, top 10 customers based on their internet sales amount. Okay, so now what will happen, so the query will first fetch the data, all customers data, and then it will sort the data from ascending to descending based on the sales amount. Then out of that it will fetch the top 10 customers. So now here I executed. You can see here I'm fetching the top 10 customer sales amount on the column wise. On the row wise, I'm looking at the different categories. So different categories, what are my top 10 customers? That's how I'm fetching the data. Next one is the bottom count. So the bottom count also exactly works same way how the top count works, but here it will does the sorting from descending to ascending. Based on that, it will fetch the data. So in this query, you can write, if you execute it, I'm fetching the bottom 10 customers based on the product category. Okay, so now I'm moving to the distinct count. This is the other distinct values where we can fetch it. Okay, now so I want to fetch the distinct count of the customers from the customer dimension where there my internet sales amount is greater than 0. Now let's see how many customers we have here, distinct customers. I have 18484 distinct customers. Okay, so instead of distinct, you can also use the dot count in here, because the cube is always excluding the duplicate records. So 99% you will have same results when you use the distinct count or count function. So even if I execute this, then we get the same records count. Okay, let's see, 18484. Okay, and then even you can get the count of records in the different dimensionality and attribute level. So in the last query, I'm trying to get the distinct count of the customers based on the product category. Let's see what will happen. Now I write here, so yeah, now I got the count of the customers on the category wise. Okay, so this is about count function family in the MDX query. So also in the previous session, I covered the count function family related to the DAX query. So in case if somebody is looking for the same information in the DAX queries, you can go to the link here. You can click the link and you can go to that. Thanks for your time.